Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ARP in the morning. I am your host, Wise, and I appreciate you guys pulling up on this fine Wednesday. It is hump day. Yes, it is. I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning as always. I got a couple shout outs I want to make before we get the show started. I want to show some love to some people in the chat, but I also want to show some love to the people that supported the channel via CashApp. And my apologies for being so late, with it, but I meant to do it yesterday, and at the end of the show, I didn't get a chance to do so. I kind of forgot. So my apologies, but I want to make sure I show some love to the folks that support the channel via Cash App. But before I do that, man, I want to say what's up to Scott Young. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What's going on, Redefine Queen? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Regina? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Brian M. Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Marianne? How you doing this morning? PK Krillin in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Savannah, Tennessee in the house. Yeah. What's going on, Lori? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Larry Montgomery? How you doing? Bradley Collis from the UK in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hey, I'm going to have to do something on the UK. We got to talk about the new law. I don't know if it's actually passed, but I know somebody over there mentioned that if you are a white male in the UK and commit a crime of someone that would be considered a minority, you could be sentenced to more for that crime just for solely being a white male in the UK. Bradley, let me know in the chat if that is actually true. One, did it pass, or is it something that's being discussed right now? I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It just ran across my feed over the weekend, and I'm like, I hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet, but I feel like that's something that needs to be discussed. The UK it's just crazy over there with the things that are going on over there right now. Goodness gracious, man. What's up, Zephyr K9? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. As always, keeping things civil in the chat. What's up, Buddha? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. West Sand Lake, New York in the house. Oh, yeah. What's up, Marla? How you doing? Reason My Mood. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, as always. What's up, Marcus Tillman? Maryland in the building. Oh, yeah. Hey, Marcus, how do you feel about the new taxes, here in the state of Maryland? I mean, they've literally raised taxes on everything in this state, man. It's freaking ridiculous. It really is. What's up, Billy W? H-Town in the building. Lena Harris in the house. Kansas City, Missouri in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, David? How you doing? Nelly, how you doing? Ginger Snap actress. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Billboard Builds? How you doing this morning? Christy, Chi-Town in the house. What up, B? How you doing this morning, sister? I hope all is well with you out there. Marianne, how you doing? What up, Eric? How you doing this morning? DC in the building. What's going on? What up, Donald Lovejoy? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much. What up, Jeanette? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Thea Flies High. How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up as well. What up, Lindy? How you doing? We got Idaho in the house. Valentina, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Big Job Ford in the building. Appreciate you pulling up as well. What up, David? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. He said, good morning, ARP. This is David Somerset, back from Disney. Come on now. Come on now. We still supporting Disney? I don't want to make, I don't want to denigrate you. You spend your money how you want to, but come on now. Disney? Really? We got another H-Town in the house. What up, Gilbert? How you doing this morning? Rolando, how you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Kim Beer Lee? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Amy out of North Carolina in the house. What up, Vinny? Appreciate you pulling. Vinny V on the track. All right, appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Aquila? How you doing this morning? New York in the house. Appreciate you pulling up. Beth Fink in the building. Detroit in the building. Shout out. Shout out to you. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Mama Joe's? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. Hope all is well with you. What's up, Madeline? We got Ohio in the building. How you doing this morning, Miss Sanders? Hope all is well. What up, RJ Hudson? South Cat in the building. What's going on with you? Mary Rice in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Dana? How you doing this morning? Evans, Georgia in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Oh, yeah. Amy Poole in the house. Vicky A. What up, Cheshire? Insight. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Francis Finnerty. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. What up, Damien? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Shout out to Sandra N., new ARP family member. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you very much. What up, Maverick One? Appreciate you pulling up. B, I am with you there. I am with you there. I have zero interest in spending any money on Disney, so much so that I'm not even watching ESPN like that anymore. They own it. Disney owns ESPN. I'm good. I used to love ESPN, Sports Center, all of that stuff, man. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched that ESPN other than a Monday Night Football if the Ravens or my Falcons are playing. Outside of that, that's it. What up, Hairball? How you doing? Wisconsin in the building. Said he's disappointed in his state, and I understand the disappointment. We're going to talk about that today. What's up, Miss Largie? Jeanette, love the T-shirt from yesterday. Thank you very much. Do you have a store to get merch from? We are working on that. I was talking to my wife yesterday about it, about getting this thing up and running as quickly as possible. It's been a slow process, but hopefully we'll have that done as soon as possible. Hopefully. What up, David? Utah, Cedar City in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Sweet Home, Alabama. Oh my gosh. Come on, Sally Snow. I appreciate you pulling up, but Roll Tide, really? Really? All right. What's up, LJ Taylor? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. I want to show some love to some of the Cash Appers. Shout out to Riza Mahmood. Appreciate you supporting the channel with the $5 Cash App. Thank you very much, man. God bless you, man. I appreciate you. Eric Plummer as well. Appreciate you supporting the channel via Cash App. I want to say shout out to Kenyatta Gakuhi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Thank you very much. Greg Hyatt, thank you very much for the $10 Cash App. Kenyatta, thank you for the $20 Cash App. Thank you very much. Shout out to Matthew, is it Eisel? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly, for the $10 Cash App, as well as, is it Kai2 for the $5 Cash App, and Michael Nims for the $20 Cash App. Thank you very much. Annette Martin and Troy Holston, thank you both each for the $10 Cash App, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. So I appreciate you all that support the channel, via Super Chat, Super Thanks, Cash Apps, buy me a coffee, joining the ARP family. We are definitely fighting an uphill battle, especially when you're in this conservative space. But I definitely appreciate you guys supporting me and supporting this channel. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're going to get the show kicked off. As always, if you haven't done so already, please make sure that you hit that like button for me. That is the best way to support the channel. If you'd like to go the extra mile, obviously joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. That link is in the description box as well. As we get the show going, super chats will stop the show. Super thanks will stop the show. Anybody that joins the ARP family or gives an ARP family membership, that will stop the show and they will be acknowledged as well. I appreciate the support, the love. I really, really do. David Somerset says, build a Christian amusement park with a ride like Ratatouille. I don't know what the Ratatouille ride is, but yeah, somebody. I am a firm believer at this point now that there is a market and a need for content that is faith-based, Christian-based. There is a need for it. I believe that there is a market for it. I definitely do. I definitely do. There's definitely a market. I was talking to Minister Denzel last week, and we were, just talking about content that doesn't have, all this, super worldly stuff. I mean, we need to get back to just wholesome content that has a solid message. And I believe that there is a market for it. There's definitely a market for it. I mean, we're seeing what Daily Wire is doing, and I'm not bigging them up completely, but they are at least attempting to do something, along the lines that's alternative to what's going on out there in Hollywood. So there's definitely a need. What up, Tootie Bug? How you doing this morning? Oh yeah, B. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Yeah, they own ESPN. They also own ABC, and obviously, there's a lot of sports that go on there. Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Shout out to MT with the $5 super sticker. Thank you very much. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much. Let's get the show started, man. LJ Taylor said pure flicks. I like the sound of that. Yeah, they also own Hulu. You're right, Christy. They own Hulu. They own Disney Plus. They pretty much got a monopoly on all things content, which is the reason why. Which is the reason why the messages that get pushed there. I mean, yeah, there is there's a market for sure. There's definitely a market for some content that doesn't have all this craziness in it. So, but we're gonna get the show started again. If you haven't liked already, hit that like button for me. What's going on, Reason Mahmood? Appreciate you supporting the channel as well, man. Thank you, brother. Let's get the show going.
CBS News special report. I'm Jesse Mitchell. We have breaking news from that closely watched race in Wisconsin. Liberal judge Susan Crawford has won the race for a seat on the state Supreme Court. Experts see this race in a battleground state as a referendum on the Trump administration. The race also made monetary history. Take a look at these numbers. It was the most expensive judicial contest ever. Let's turn now to CBS News Elections and Surveys Director Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, what do you make of the results of this?
Big story here is turnout. That's maybe what all that money did, right? I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to sort of emphasize this number up here. Looking at potentially 2.3 million votes. Now, for context, that is going to be around half, around 50% of the voters in this state. Now, in a springtime election, in an off year for a judicial race, that is really big. So that's the top thing. Now, look, that turnout, the Republican or the conservative side had hoped that that would benefit them. But in fact, what we saw was Crawford running ahead of either Joe Biden 2020, Kamala Harris in 24, especially and I'll center this and I'll circle it, in and around Milwaukee and the Milwaukee suburbs, where Democrats have to do well to win a race. And so that is where the turnout story connects, Jesse.
Right now, Randy Fine in the lead with 53.7% of the vote against Democrat Josh Weil, who has 45.6%. That's 73% of the estimated vote counted. Randy Fine, almost 12,000 votes ahead. John King, what do you, oh, look at that. A lot more red has shown up on that map of Florida's 6 since we last spoke. I guess some of those early votes weren't indicative of where the counties ultimately would end up.
No, and so the question is, number one, let's just look at Volusia County right here. It's getting closer. Can the Democrat hold the county? Is there a little bit of moral victory in that? Number two, we've now projected the race. Randy Fine is coming to Congress as a new Republican congressman.
Thank you, LJ. I'm definitely going to check out Pure Flix. I'm actually, when I get off of here today, I'm going to go see if I can pull it up and see if I can find it on Amazon. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. But hey, man, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You win some and you lose some. Unfortunately, that is the case. That is American politics. And we still have a lot of people that don't necessarily believe in the process, or maybe just didn't know that special elections were happening and so forth and so on. So I just think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I don't think a lot of people knew that these were happening. And Republicans, they did score some wins. They scored some wins yesterday in 2 special elections down in Florida last night, while Democrats picked up a win, a pretty major win in Wisconsin. And honestly, that shouldn't be a surprise there, especially, when what happens in Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee basically controls the state, no different than New York City controlling the rest of the state, of New York. I mean, it's just unfortunate that it's like that. But these results did reveal something that the GOP needs to pay close attention to heading into next year's midterms. Close attention. And here's the deal. The Republican Party is on a serious losing streak in Wisconsin, with one major exception, and that's President Donald Trump. Outside of him, they're struggling to turn out voters. And if they don't figure that out soon, it's going to be a real problem come 2026. That's just a fact. In Wisconsin, liberal candidate Susan Crawford defeated conservative Brad Schmiel. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. I think it's Schmiel. I could be wrong on that, or maybe it's Schmiel. But this particular judge just secured a 10-year term on the state Supreme Court. And what that means is it preserves the 4-3 liberal majority. It preserved the 4-3 liberal majority in the state of Wisconsin. All this is in a state, that's split between a Democrat governor and a Republican controlled legislator. And now they have a Supreme Court that is basically Democrat or liberal control. Meanwhile, in Florida, the GOP held on to 2 House seats in deep red districts, but even there, the margins were noticeably slimmer compared to the last November cycle, which is something worth watching. Next year, 2026, man, is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. So we're going to have to really talk about this, man. We're going to have to get people galvanized to get out there and vote in these midterms. Seriously. Now, I will say this, man. It's not all doom and gloom. It's not. One bright spot, 4 conservatives came in Wisconsin where voter ID won big. That's a solid win and definitely worth celebrating. It is. Voter ID is now mandatory in the state of Wisconsin. Honestly, it should be mandatory across the entire country when it comes to voting, not only on federal elections, but also on state elections. But, I guess each state has its ability. I'm not going to say I guess. Each state has its ability to, enact its own laws. So shout out to True Texan. He says here that we need Elon to become our Soros. Somebody has to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Somebody has to do it. We need somebody to step up, and do that because, the Soros and Soros family, man, I mean, they literally have a full-fledged lock on the Democrat Party right now. And the bottom line is this. The Wisconsin race, that was a warning shot. The GOP, they have a lot of work to do, and the clock is ticking. There is a lot of work to do. It's one thing to come out for President Trump this past November. It's another thing to push people to continue to support the policies and the MAGA movement via these representative seats, potential Senate seats, so forth and so on. Governor seats that are going to pop up. It's important, man. It's not just about the presidential election. These local elections and these lower level seats matter a whole heck of a lot, man.
Right now, Randy Fine in the lead with 53.7% of the vote against.
The outcome, I think, is important.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, actually. There's always things to learn. And for the Republicans, it's a party of low propensity voters now. And so did any of them actually show up in any of these races in Florida or Wisconsin? Or was it largely they just kept doing what they've been doing, which is showing up for Donald Trump and nothing else? That's one thing to be studied. I do think the Republican takeaways tonight are going to be this. In Florida, Democrats burned about $20 million on 2 congressional campaigns, where both Republicans look like they're going to get around 57% of the vote. Yes, not as high as what Donald Trump got, but certainly commanding victories. Democrats were down in the low 40s, Republicans again at 57%. Wisconsin, the voter ID initiative that Donald Trump was heavily involved in and heavily supported, that's a big issue for Republicans and conservatives. Last I saw, it was passing at about a rate of 60-40, so they're going to like that. I agree with you that Democrats have a nice win on the Supreme Court here. Called it early in the night. But for Republicans tonight, I do think a lot of people were sort of bracing for impact that, what was going to happen tonight. And what do we find out? Republicans are okay in their Florida districts, and voter ID is still a popular thing. There's a bunch of people that voted for a liberal Supreme Court justice and turned around and voted voter ID tonight in Wisconsin, which shows you the popularity of that issue, which has been a Republican issue.
Yeah, so voter ID passing in Wisconsin, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. It really is. No doubt about it, that it is a big deal. But here's what I don't get. How did the same voters who supported voter ID also vote for a judge who's likely to rule against it? It just doesn't make sense. That's what doesn't make sense. That's what doesn't make sense. And sometimes, man, it just makes me wonder about the American population, man. It really does. I know on average, when you think about the news is typically, distributed at about a 5th grade level. Any article, it's written at about a 5th grade level. So what that tells you is that a lot of the liberals and honestly, a lot of, media does not believe that the American people are smart. They don't think that we're intelligent people. And to be honest with you, when you see this right here, it almost proves them right. Because you vote for a Republican idea, policy in mandatory voter ID, but you vote for a candidate that would likely do everything that they can to strike it down. And you give the very people that don't want voter ID the majority in the Supreme Court. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And what these special elections in Wisconsin really showed, and what the GOP needs to really wake up to is that, yes, people on the right, maybe some independents as well, are low propensity voters, unfortunately, the voters don't necessarily live and breathe politics because they're working class and they got way other, bigger fish to fry than being concerned with who's going to be on the Supreme Court until it actually matters. And that's unfortunate. You got a lot of people out there, man. I mean, they're grinding, they're living real lives, and and more times than not, politics is often, it's just background noise until you get to the major elections. And I don't know if I can say it enough, man. Local elections have consequences. What happens in your town, in your county, in your city, what happens in your state, locally, it's actually going to affect you more than what happens on a national level. That's just the reality. That's just the reality, man. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people that are going through their day to day. They got the kids that they got to take care of. They got work. They got a boss that they hate, a job that they go to every day that sucks. And what's going on politically is just background noise. And it's not something that people are 100% paying attention to. Shout out to Red Bucks for the $3.99 super sticker. Thank you for supporting the channel. God bless you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. That is the reality, though. That's the reality. And that means that it really means that we got to chase these voters. We got to chase these voters. And unlike the Democrats whose, institutional elite voter base is always fired up and ready to go, what people got to understand is that these people that want to push this wicked agenda, oh man, you can bet your bottom dollar that they are ready to go out there and vote because they want their wicked agenda pushed. That's the one thing that those people have that is different from us. The other thing too is you got a lot of people that are followers in Christ that will say, I'm just going to put all my faith in God and I'm 100% with you there, but they won't actually go and work and do the work necessary to block the wicked agenda being pushed. And then they'll wake up and say, man, what happened? Not realizing that the enemy is working 10 times harder than we are. Wisconsin needs a wake-up call, man. And to be honest with you, a lot of states need a wake-up call. We've got to get back to the front lines. The same way we did in places like Pennsylvania last November, we got to get back out there. The message has to be shared. It needs to be yelled and screamed. Because that race last night, it mattered. That election yesterday, it mattered a lot. And the GOP, they didn't show up like they needed to. They just didn't. And even Elon, stepping in the fray, it seems like he got out there a little late. Now, I know I don't want to put all this on him because Lord knows that guy has a lot on his plate, between dealing with his own personal businesses, the Doge situation, the media attacking him, people attacking him from every corner. Hey, he's dealing with a lot. But somebody has to take up the mantle and say, hey, man, these local elections matter a lot. And here's why it matters, though. And here's why that election out there mattered. With Susan Crawford on the bench, the liberal majority on Wisconsin's Supreme Court now has the green light to approve this redistricting scheme that's targeting GOP seats in the House. Hakeem Jeffries, we shared a clip. I shared a clip with you guys on that yesterday. I shared a clip with that about that yesterday of Hakeem Jeffries. These people want to redraw the state's congressional map to flip to Republican districts. That's what they want to do. Shout out to Billy W with the $10 super chat. She says Isaiah 42, chapter 19, God will make a way, but you have to walk through the door. Absolutely. Absolutely. Faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith you want. If you're not willing to put the work in, hey, man, nothing's going to happen. Thank you, Billy W, for the $10 super chat. You're absolutely right. I want to leave this up here for a little bit. You're absolutely right. So many people, they have faith, but they won't work. So many people out here, they have faith, but they won't work. And you can operate in faith, but if you won't take this step, hey, there's got to be some action involved on your part. There has to be some action involved on your part. Simple as that, man. There are so many people out there waiting on somebody else to take that step. So many people out there waiting on someone else to walk through that door. And that's That's why we're in the situation that we're in, because those of us who are believers, those of us who are followers of Christ, have decided that we're going to let somebody else fight that fight. Have decided that we're going to let somebody else fight that fight. I don't have time. It's not me. It's not going to affect me or my family. I don't have time to do it. I'm not getting out there and fighting that fight. Some of it could be fear of persecution, fear of losing your job, fear of being, ostracized from your family. Some of it could be that. But more of it is people are just lazy, don't want to put the work in. Hakeem Jeffries told you exactly what their plans are. If they can get this lady in office, into that Supreme Court seat, their plan is to gerrymander the daggone districts. That's their plan. They want to rewrite the daggone seat. They want to rewrite these districts. They want to redraw the map so that they can flip these 2 Republican districts. They told you what their plan is. And with the House majority hanging by a thread, that is no small thing. And people got to understand this, man. The House of Representatives, it is extremely important. Not a bill gets to the Senate nor to the daggone president without it going through the House. So people got to understand, man, that these House seats are extremely important. Shout out to B Mark for the $1.99 super chat. He says, we love you, brother. Keep going. God bless you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you supporting the channel. But people got to understand, man, that these representative seats, they matter a lot. That's a lot of the reason why they wanted to flood our country with all these illegal immigrants and strategically placing them in Democrat states. Because their hope is that the more people that we can get in here, the more House seats that we'll get. And if we can dominate the House, you can essentially dominate the country. There is not a bill that can get to the Senate nor to the president's desk without it going through the House. Eric, you're absolutely right. Again, there's nothing, no spending, nothing. If it doesn't get through the House, it doesn't get to the Senate, it doesn't get to the president's desk to be signed into law. That's honestly why, in my opinion, they need to bring civics class. They need to make it important. There is a reason why they took civics classes out of school, because a lot of people, they don't even know the 3 branches of government and they don't know how it works. So when you don't know how it works, it's easy for you to say, not that important. Not that important. Oh, representative seat popped up. Not that important. Supreme Court justice seat, it's up for grabs. I don't got time to go and vote. Not that important to me. It's not going to affect me that much. Let them people do what they're going to do. Now, you guys know that the daggone liberal media, legacy media, DNC ran corporate media, they're running victory laps right now. They're running victory laps right now. MSDNC is already spinning this as a massive win for Democrats. And I kid you not, they even suggested that it was a referendum on Elon Musk. And the bottom line is that it's this, man. If we don't start treating every election like it counts, we'll keep losing the ones that do. If we don't start looking at this and treating every election like it counts, we're going to be in trouble in this country, man. We're going to be in trouble in this country. It's really sad, man. It really is. It's really sad.
Republican members of the House of Representatives who were counting on Elon Musk to get them reelected.
It's time for them to walk away from this unelected, unpopular, unhinged, and un-American billionaire puppet master. Elon Musk was just rejected decisively by the voters of Wisconsin. He tried to spend his unlimited resources to buy a state Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin, and it failed spectacularly. The voters rejected Donald Trump, they rejected Elon Musk, and they rejected the rapidly deteriorating Republican brand.
Un-American billionaire. That's Timu Barack Obama for you. Un-American billionaire. I'd laugh, but it's not funny. Because there is a semblance of truth in what he said. Now, it could be a situation where Elon just got up there a little too late. A little too late. Maybe there was not enough money, put in there. There wasn't enough boots on the ground to go knock on some doors and get people out there, get people excited. But there is some truth to what Timu Barack Obama said. You think Elon Musk personally, turned the entire state of Wisconsin against Brad Schimel? You would think it. That's the media spin there. That's what they want you to think. What they don't mention is that Democrats outspent conservatives by tens of millions of dollars, pouring in out-of-state cash from places like California and New York to boost Susan Crawford. But again, I don't blame them. Who I blame is Wisconsin GOP, and honestly, the national GOP. Because you knew that this race mattered a lot, and they waited until the last minute to decide that, hey, this is something that we need to be talking about, and this is something that this is a place that we need to get boots on the ground. Facts are facts, man. Facts are facts. The GOP, the Republican Party, they got caught flat-footed in Wisconsin, and they got exposed. They got exposed. There is no one to blame but the Wisconsin GOP. And honestly, you could throw in the national GOP because they understood how important this race was. The left was already in campaign mode, holding rallies and firing up their base, staying focused months ago. Meanwhile, many conservatives didn't even realize what was at stake until it was almost over. And by the time the GOP voters showed up, the window had already closed. And it's a turnout problem, plain and simple. And I think a lot of people, what's up, Allie? How you doing this morning? What's up, Dre? How you doing this morning, brother? Detroit HPTV in the building. But I think a lot of people since November got really comfortable. They figured President Trump's in office. We got this. Not understanding that the fight isn't over. The fight has just begun. That's what I don't think a lot of people understand. I don't think a lot of people realize. A lot of people felt like, well, Trump's in there. He got it. We good. Not understanding that, hey, that wasn't the end of the fight. That was the beginning. We're starting to see it now. We're starting to see it play out right before our eyes. But I think a lot of people got complacent. People got to understand, man, that these Democrats, and honestly, it's really, you could say the Democrats, but you really could say the Marxist Communist Party, these people are playing the long game. What has been implemented over the past 16 years, dating back to when Obama got into office, these are things that they had been talking about in the 50s and 60s. These people play the long game. They expect to lose, but when they lose, they go even harder. Our side wins and we get complacent like we done something. So yes, there is a turnout problem, plain and simple. And it's a recurring one, when Trump isn't on the ballot. And that's a habit of the GOP. They gotta break away from it, man. If they want to win and hold control come the end of 2026, they gotta be full speed ahead going forward. Going forward. The GOP, hey, they gotta break that habit, man, if they want any shot of holding on control in 2026. Seriously. The solution going forward, Nina, is break the mindset of complacency that President Trump is in there and that's the end all be all and he got it going forward. That's number one. Number two is identifying the seats where that can be flipped. Very similar to what's going on with TX30. That's a seat that I believe can be flipped. Identifying the races that can be flipped and then putting our money where our mouth is. And if you live in those areas, going in there and volunteering for candidates in positions where they really feel like it can be flipped. People got to get over this complacency and thinking that President Trump is the end all be all in this fight. No. These people have been playing the long game. And the thing is that they also expect setbacks, but they also understand that with a setback, this side will get complacent, their side will get fired up. Think about it. Seriously. Look at what these people are willing to do. When you got an enemy that's, willing to blow up and bomb, willing to go to jail, and in some cases willing to perish for what they believe in, man. Hey, that's an enemy that is hard to beat. And what we've realized and what we're seeing with those crazy lunatics on the left is that they're willing to go all the way in. They're willing to do whatever it takes. Thank you, William. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me if you haven't done so already. Now, over in Florida, it's a different story. Republicans down there, they did hold their seats, and that's a good thing. Shout out to Eric with the $5 super chat. It's a pendulum swing. It's a pendulum that swings back and forth, but it is still a whole unit moving as one toward communism. Absolutely. Well, people got to understand that they've sold a lot of people, that would consider themselves poor. They sold a lot of them, on this communism would be good. Now, when you ask the question, where has communism ever been a success? They'll say nowhere, but those people just hadn't implemented properly. That's what they'll say. That's what you'll hear, from these people. But people got to understand that these folks are playing the long game. Now, when you look down at what happened in Florida, the Republicans, they were able to hold their seats. And that is a good thing. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. There was still a sign of complacency there. There was a sign of complacency there. Shout out to Jose Basil. Or Basil, shout out to you for the $1.99 super chat. Says, hey, I love your channel. Found you by mistake. It wasn't no mistake. That was God's plan. You supposed to be here. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate the $1.99 super chat. You supposed to be here. But those Republicans down in Florida, man, they were able to hold their seats. But again, the complacency showed itself down there. Let me remove this guy off of here. The complacency showed itself. It did. Because those guys down there, man, they should have won. They should have won, by way more in a state that is majority red. Now, it is a win. And a win is a win is a win, whether it's by a point or whether it's a blowout. It's a win. And yes, these were off cycle. These were low turnout voters. These are the kind of folks that, we'll need a lot more of if we're going to compete going forward. But we got to get out of this complacency mindset. And that's a lot of reason, that That's a lot of the reason why Christianity is where it is in this country. Because you've had a lot of believers get real complacent, and the devil's been working overtime, triple overtime. And you got a lot of followers of Christ that have gotten really, really complacent, and they've allowed the devil to come in and just basically overtake their position. And what we got to understand is that, man, this fight is really, it's a fight for your life. These people aren't just after you. They're after your children. They're after your grandchildren. They're after your great-grandchildren. They're after everybody. Think about this, man. Witchcraft in this country is growing at a rapid pace. It is growing at a rapid pace in this country. Folks need to understand that you are at war. And in some cases, not just in the literal sense, but also in the spiritual sense. Shout out to Allie Summers for the $1.99 super chat. She says, we cannot get political fatigue, people. And yes, you are absolutely right there. Francis says, complacency brings in the devil. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys have ever read, I don't know if you guys have read Napoleon Hill's book. He wrote a book, came out, well, it was actually written a long time ago, but it didn't come out until maybe 60s or 70s. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Let me know in the chat, have you guys read Outwitting the Devil? Let me know in the chat. If you've read Outwitting the Devil or even heard of Outwitting the Devil, put a 1 in the chat for me. Put a 1 in the chat if you've read, listened to, or even heard of Outwitting the Devil. I want to see it in the chat. We're going to keep going here in a sec. We're going to keep going, but I want to hear from you guys. If you've heard of it, if you've read it, or listen to it, because that counts as well. I like audiobooks. I like, especially when I'm out walking, typically I'm either listening to a podcast or I'm listening to an audiobook of some sort. But put a 1 in the chat if you've heard it. If you have not heard of it, let me know as well. It's free. It's on YouTube. It is a free book. But Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He's the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. He's the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich is a phenomenal book. It was probably one of the, I think it's probably one of Napoleon Hill's most popular books. But Outwitting the Devil was actually written before Think and Grow Rich. The book was written in 1938, this Outwitting the Devil book, but they would not release it. They wouldn't put it out. And they wouldn't put it out. And it finally got released. And I want to see it. Let me see if I can find out when it actually got released. But the book was written in 1938. And I mean, dude, it is a phenomenal book. You can listen to it for free. It's on YouTube. You can listen to the entire book for free. It's on YouTube. You honestly, I am suggesting, if you are not listening to a book right now or reading one, it is one that you should read. I mean, it is a phenomenal book, but it really gives you an idea to what's not only going on in the world, but why people are the way they are right now, and how the devil actually attacks people. It's a phenomenal book. I've gone through it at least 3 times. Phenomenal. Check out Outwitting the Devil. It's on YouTube. It's free. You can listen to it for free, or you can buy it. I'm sure you could probably find a used copy somewhere. I don't necessarily like buying brand new books. If I can find it used, I'd prefer to buy it used if I can. But The Bait of Satan is another great read. I'm going to check that out, C. Burgee. I'm going to check that out. But if you guys haven't read or listened to Outwitting the Devil, it is free. It is free. It's worth checking out. And it's one of those books that you're going to want to share with your children. You're going to want them to read it. It's one of those books. And this book was written in 1938, almost 100 years ago. 1938 that this book was written. And I mean, what's in there, it still holds true. And this right here just shows you that these people are playing the long game. It really is. It shows you, man.
This is a Fox News alert, a crushing blow for Democrats who had hoped against hope. The Associated Press has called Florida's 6th district race for Republican Randy Fine, and in minutes, the polls will close for Florida's 1st congressional district. In 1 hour, the polls will close in Wisconsin's pivotal Supreme Court race between radical Susan Crawford and conservative Brad Schimmel.
The judge race will decide whether the Wisconsin districts get redrawn. They're going to try to gerrymander Wisconsin to remove 2 Republican seats. And as you know, the House is currently Republican by a razor-thin margin, which means that losing this judge race has a good chance of causing Republicans to lose control of the House. If you lose control of the House, there will be nonstop impeachment hearings.
You bet there will be. Joining me now, Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and a Fox News contributor. Also with me, Ned Ryan, founder and CEO of American Majority. Byron, now this will impact the control of Congress, undoubtedly. Elon Musk didn't get involved in this for nothing.
No, as a matter of fact, there's a lot of talk about abortion in Wisconsin. That's a very big deal, so I don't want to downplay that. But redistricting is really huge. Right now, the Wisconsin congressional delegation is 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And Democrats really, really, really want to change that. Cases are going to come, redistricting cases are going to come before the Supreme Court, and that's where a Democratic, we know this is nonpartisan, but a Democratic victory would really help them.
Yeah. That right there shows you how important the House of Representatives is. So much so that these people were willing to invest that type of money on a Supreme Court race in middle America because they want to flip 2 seats. That goes to show you how important the House of Representatives is. So were the Florida races blowouts? No. But were they losses for the GOP? No, absolutely not. Republicans held their seats despite Democrats flooding the state with out-of-state money and full-blown activism. Now, of course, the media, they jumped in with their usual spin. Republicans underperformed Trump. It's not really spin, though, because that's what happened. You know, margins were smaller. Translation, we lost, but we'll call it a moral victory. And let's be real. If the GOP had lost even 1 seat, the headlines would have screamed, Trump's agenda is dead, the red wave is canceled, the MAGA movement is done, kaput, it's over with. But since it didn't, now it's all about the trends. Democrats outspent the GOP candidates nearly 10-1 in some of these races, and they still lost. 10-1. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So that lets you know that there are some evil forces out here in this country that have a lot of money. And they're willing to spend it to push their evil, wicked agenda on this country. When you have a Supreme Court judge or a state Supreme Court judge race that garners this type of attention and they spend that type of money, that lets you know where these people are and where they see things. That's a lot of money, man, and it's not nothing. And it just shows that even under heavy pressure, Republicans in Florida can still deliver, but in Wisconsin, it was a complete letdown. Complete letdown. You guys recall, Kamala spent, what, over $2 billion to lose, but they had the $2 billion to play with. What's up, Kenny Cooper? Appreciate you pulling up, man. Be safe out there on the road, man. Be safe out there. They had the $2 billion. They raised the money. People got to understand, man, that the people that want to push this wicked agenda, they got the bread and they are willing to spend it. Shout out to Luke Love 1 for the $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate you supporting the channel. They're willing to do the things that most of us aren't willing to do. Those people, they have a fervor like no other. So yes, that Wisconsin race, it was definitely a letdown, but not a disaster. It was a letdown, but not an all-out disaster. The left, they held on to a court seat that they already had. They held on to a court seat that they already had. The Wisconsin Supreme Court was 4-3 going into this. It remained 4-3. I am almost for certain, actually, I'm 100% for certain that they would have traded that Supreme Court seat for one of those seats in the representatives to flip blue. They would have. So what's the real takeaway here? Republicans held the line in Florida. Democrats got a court win in Wisconsin. The media spin, honestly, it's just a lot of noise. But the noise is a wake-up call for those on the right, those that are independents, those that are trying to fight the wicked agenda that is coming from the Marxist Communist Party, known as the Democrat Party, in this country. This was really a wake-up call. And honestly, this might have been the wake-up call that was needed because I think a lot of us, we've gotten complacent. We've gotten complacent. Oh, Trump's in there. He's handling business. He's off to the races. Elon Musk and Doge, they're uncovering all of this. They're being exposed. This was a wake-up call. And honestly, I think this was the wake-up call that was needed. This was, you know, when you're in that boxing match and that first right hand that you feel, this was that. Now, it wasn't enough to knock you out, but it was enough to wake you up to let you know you are in a fight now. It was enough. It was enough to wake you up to let you know you are in a fight. These people will not go away silently. Voter ID was passed out there in Wisconsin. That is phenomenal. Hey, Quincy James, I'm going to say not a jab. This was that too. This was that first right hand. It wasn't enough. It didn't catch you clean. It wasn't enough to knock you out, but it was enough to wake you up to let it be known like, hey, man, these folks are here to fight too. These people, they've been training too. They out here in these streets too. Now, when you're thinking about the left, you know, if this is the left's idea of momentum, then to an extent, they're probably in worse shape than we think. But what we have to understand is that we are in a fight for this nation, for the soul of this nation. We're in a fight, and people need to understand that. What's up, Kenneth? How you doing this morning? The GOP, they should see this as a warning and a blueprint that every race matters. Treat every election like Trump's on the daggone ballot. Focus on turnout, messaging, and election integrity. Or 2026, it will be a rough one. So to be honest with you, I am, to an extent, I'm kind of glad that this happened. Because I think this is shaking some people. It's shaking some people. It's waking some people up. Seriously. It's waking some people up. The fight isn't over. It just started. The fight isn't over. It just started. In 2026, oh man, the midterms are going to be extremely important. Again, most of the people that watch this channel are my age or older. Most of us, we either have, there's a few out there that probably have some young kids, but for the most part, kids are either grown, close to grown, or they are grown and you got grandkids. I don't have any grandkids, so my kids are just early stages of adulthood. I don't have any grandkids, thank the Lord, but I'm definitely looking forward to it in the hopefully distant future. But people need to understand that this fight isn't about us. This fight isn't about us. This is about what type of nation do you want to leave for your children, for your grandchildren, for your great-grandchildren? What kind of nation are you trying to leave for them? Seriously. You have a lot of people that got complacent because they think, oh, President Trump, he got in there, he's going to handle business. But that's not the daggone, that was the beginning of the fight. We're in the beginning stages. This isn't the end. This isn't the finish line. We're in the beginning stages. What up, WTF for real? Appreciate you pulling out, brother. Seriously. RJ Hudson said, well, you do have some people who watch that are in their 30s like me. Okay, appreciate you. Appreciate you, RJ. I just look at the analytics. I know the majority of the people that watch the channel, they are 45 and older. Majority of the people that do watch the channel are 45 and older. But seriously, we cannot be complacent. We just can't. And this right here, yesterday, it was a wake-up call. I don't know if you guys heard, what happened down in Louisiana. These people did everything that they could, to block a few amendments down there, and they made it happen. These freaking Democrats, they made it happen. They do not want what's best for you. They do not want what's best for this nation. They just don't. Which brings me to my second story that I want to talk about today. Judicial races matter. We've all seen what these activist judges are trying to do to Trump's agenda. What they're trying to do to Elon for exposing the rot in our government. We see it. The entire DC press corps, they're all a part of it as well. And enter Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crash Out Crockett, who once more is causing a scene. This time during a congressional hearing on whether the legislative branch should rein in activist judges. Judges, especially under Trump, have issued sweeping rulings to block his policies on immigration, government downsizing, federal worker terminations. I mean, it's gotten completely out of hand. Completely out of hand. Quincy James said that was just the first story. Hey, I a little long-winded today, man. A little long-winded, man. But I just wanted to, honestly, man, I want to shake people up today. I want to wake people up today. I want folks to understand what we are up against, man. I want people to understand what we are up against, man. We're not wrestling against flesh and blood, man. This is a spiritual warfare. Seriously. We are, fighting against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness, against, the spiritual host of wickedness in this country, man. Seriously. And folks need to understand that. Folks have gotten complacent. You have a lot of followers of Christ that are complacent, that believe that they don't have to do anything. They don't have to say anything. They just sit back and just let stuff happen. Just let any old thing, not realizing that, hey, you're sending your kids into these public schools. You don't want to know what's going on at the school board? You are sending your kids to these public institutions. Now, if you're going to tell me we're going to step away and just completely get out of all of it, you're not going to work in no federal, you're not going to take no federal state job. You're not sending your kids to for public education. You're not going into any of these public institutions academically. If you're telling me you're doing that and you're just getting out of all of that, okay, that's one thing. But if you are doing those things, you better stand up and say something. You better be willing to stand up and do something about it. These people are losing it, man.
Talking about this problem of rogue rulings, and the Democrats, our colleagues here, they talk all about this so-called constitutional crisis that they see around every tree. They don't like President Trump's policies, and so that's their catchphrase they use for everything. But there really is a constitutional crisis that's developing. It's not the one that the Democrats claim, though. Listen to these numbers, and we've shared them before. 67% of all injunctions issued by district court judges against a president since the year 2000 were issued against one man, and his name's President Donald J. Trump. 92% of those injunctions against the president were issued by Democrat-appointed judges. There's a problem. I've mentioned before, I was a constitutional law litigator, routinely would run into judges that I would describe as activists, but it was much more rare than it is now, and it's a problem that has been noted needs to be addressed. Under the existing framework, one singular district court judge out of 677 of them, anywhere in America, can subvert the will of the duly elected president carrying out his constitutional duties. And they're doing that. And so we've got to step into this. Despite the American people's wholesale rejection of Democrat ideas at the ballot box, you have activist judges who are abusing the system to legislate from the bench. That's effectively what an activist judge is. This is not how the system our founders designed is supposed to work. Under our Constitution, we have three co-equal branches of government, each with the ability to provide a check on the other. And we do have that authority. Democrats seem to have forgotten that. I mentioned at a press conference or a gaggle, maybe it was last week with all of you, I can't remember so many of these, but somebody asked me repeatedly about, impeachment, and they asked me about our authority under the Constitution. What authority do we have? Under Article 3, the Congress is given the authority to determine, define, fund all lower courts. Only the Supreme Court has mentioned itself in the Constitution, and the lower courts are within the purview of the Congress. And I was asked, and I offered the answer, yes. I mean, we could defund those courts. I wasn't saying, let me clarify, I wasn't saying that we're doing that. I was trying to describe what the Constitution says. Go read it for yourselves. We have broad scope. We have all authority over the lower courts, okay? We're not defunding courts, and we're not doing anything other than limiting in this legislation the ability of a judge to issue a nationwide injunction, because that is the problem that has gotten totally out of control. And we need this check on the judiciary, and I think we're going to prove that on the floor. One activist judge should not issue a nationwide injunction against the president's policies, and these district courts have to stay within their constitutional bounds.
Yeah, so get this. 67% of all court orders blocking a president's actions since 2000 were aimed at President Trump. And over 90% of those came from Democrat-appointed judges. Let that sink in for a second. This right here lets you know, hey, this is a real fight. I mean, these numbers are crazy. We're watching the judicial branch act like it runs the entire government. What's up, T.A. Caskey? How you doing this morning, brother? The judicial branch is acting like it runs the entire government. And that's not how checks and balances are supposed to work. Again, I'm going to go back to civics class needs to be mandatory in high school like it was when I was in high school and when so many of us were in high school. I don't think people understand the branches, how the branches of government are supposed to work. And that's why you don't have the outrage that should be had right now, because I don't think a lot of people understand it. You could probably go out right now, and I'm going to start doing this now that it's starting to warm up a little bit. We're going to start getting out and going down and talking to the people, especially down in Annapolis, out in Baltimore City in the very near future. But I would almost guarantee that you could go out there and you can ask some people, they don't know. They wouldn't be able to tell you the three branches of government. Simple stuff that should be known. I don't think most people know. Again, the news is given to you at a 5th grade level. They write the news at a 5th grade level. So their assumption is that the average American is not very intelligent. Civics class is extremely important. There is a reason why they took it out of class and made it took it out of school in the sense of making it a mandatory class. There's a reason behind it. Because if you don't know your rights, you're easily taken advantage of. Christy, I remember that. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? And to be honest with you, most people couldn't answer a lot of those daggone questions. So a lot of people, they do not understand how the checks and balances are supposed to work in this nation. So when you don't know it, it makes you easily taken advantage of. And here's what people forget. Article 3 of the Constitution only guarantees the Supreme Court. Only guarantees the Supreme Court. Supreme Court. The highest court in the land. Every lower federal court, they exist solely because Congress allows them to. That means Congress, not the courts, holds the power to defund, limit, or restructure them if needed. Speaker Mike Johnson hit this one out the park. He was 100% on point there. He's absolutely right. But the thing is that if the average American does not know this, again, it makes them easily taken advantage of. So you'll have people all in an uproar saying, oh, President Trump, they're trying to supersede the courts, not understanding that the only court that he can't supersede is the Supreme Court. That's it. Everybody else reports directly to the daggone White House to an extent. Now, Quincy James, that's a great question. Well, it's not necessarily Mike Johnson. It's the Congress in general that would have to do something about it. But he's putting it out there and letting it be known like, hey, we can do it. And the thing is, you got to understand, you got to play chess with these people. You got to be thinking 2 moves ahead. So the first step is to educate, because what we know is the majority of the country did not know that this was the case. So first, step number 1, let's educate the people first. Let's educate the people to let it be known that we can do it. That's step number 1. So let's get out there and let it be known that as per the Constitution, Congress has the ability to do this. That's step number 1, because if you don't educate the people, legacy media, they're going to get out there and say, hey, man, these people are going haywire. Hey, they're just going crazy. They're going haywire. They're just trying to do anything. So it starts with educating the people. So you got to do that. And the thing is that the people are going to be educated one way or another, right? They're either going to be educated with the truth, or they're going to be educated with the false doctrine that legacy media tends to want to push on them. So it starts there. You got to educate the people, because unfortunately, most people don't know. Unfortunately. So, Republicans, I don't think they are moving to dismantle the courts right now. But constitutionally, they could. But again, I go back to what I just said. It starts with educating the people that it can be done as per the Constitution. And then hopefully that will spur some people to go and say, let me see if he's telling the truth. Let me go actually look at the Constitution. Information is as free as it's ever been in the history of mankind. So if you really want to know, you could go and find it out. You can. So they can actually do it. But they needed to educate the people to let it be known that they could. And what makes, and that's what makes Representative, Darrell Issa's new bill so important. This legislation, it would stop lower federal judges from issuing sweeping nationwide injunctions that block executive action. Now think about it. Think about it. Like when Judge, what is it, Boasberg? Is that how you pronounce his name? Is it Boasberg or Boasberg? Halted Trump's effort to deport certain migrants under the Alien Enemies Act. That wasn't just one bad call. It's a part of a growing pattern where activist judges step in and override the executive branch. Issa's bill is about restoring balance. It's about ending judicial overreach and making sure judges don't single-handedly derail a president's agenda from the bench. And of course, it's Boasberg. Okay, got you. And of course, the left is losing it. The left is losing their minds. Democrat Representative Jasmine CashApp Crockett, she went off calling the bill unconstitutional and launching into a speech that was more emotional than factual. She claimed that the bill was a threat to the judiciary system itself. That's what she said. But again, they take advantage of people not knowing their rights, not understanding the Constitution. They take advantage of it. That's what they do. And they believe that because this person's in Congress, they actually know what they're talking about. When she doesn't. But hey, let's take a look at it so you guys can hear it yourself.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate the speaker for admitting openly on the record that it is unconstitutional. But the concerns that I have are around the fact that we are sitting here pretending as if we all are looking out for the Constitution, yet we are coming from completely different angles. So let me go to Professor Shaw. To be clear, which branch of government is responsible for interpreting what is and what is not legal?
Well, the Supreme Court, the Article 3 judicial branch has the final word.
So the judiciary is who it is. So it's not the legislators.
I'd say every branch has an obligation to interpret the Constitution. The final word comes from the courts.
From the courts. It's not the former speakers. It's not everyday.
The final word comes from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has the final word. But if you notice, she said courts. The lady here, let's back that up real quick.
All are looking out for the Constitution, yet we are coming from completely different angles. So let me go to Professor Shaw. To be clear, which branch of government is responsible for interpreting what is and what is not legal?
Well, the Supreme Court, the Article 3 judicial.
Right there, this lady says the Supreme Court, not any old court, D, thank you. The Supreme Court. The highest court in the land, not just any old daggone court. Goodness gracious.
Branch has the final word.
So the judiciary is who it is. So it's not the legislators.
I'd say every branch has an obligation to interpret the Constitution. The final word comes from the courts.
From the courts. It's not the former speakers. It's not everyday people. It's not the president. I just wanted to make sure that we understood who it was that was responsible. And what is so frustrating for so many of the American people, the ones that are watching right now and otherwise, and the reason that they're outraged and scared is because what we see right now is the diminishing of all these institutions. Right now, we have a legislative branch that has decided that it intentionally would disregard their duties. They are not checking the president whatsoever. The only check that the American people have had thus far has been from the judiciary. And the judiciary isn't pulling this out of the sky. In fact, they are coming from basic reading of like the plain language of the Constitution for all of those that are constitutionalists when we start talking about things such as what birthright citizenship is. But one of the things that I want to make sure that I get to, because there are deeper implications if we go down this rabbit hole. Imagine the type of world where the president does whatever he wants to and no one can rein him in. It's a world that right now many people are afraid of. Let me put it this way. If Joe Biden would have done an executive order for abortion, despite what the Supreme Court said, that would have been a problem. Imagine if the state of Colorado kept Trump off the ballot and other states follow suit. That would have been a problem. Or
She just said it out of her own mouth. The Supreme Court. Now, for those of you guys that may or may not know, there's 3 branches of government: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The judicial branch is headed by the Supreme Court. Their job is to interpret the law. Supreme Court, that's who the judicial branch, not some lower level federal judge. The Supreme Court. That's it. That's it. The Supreme Court. This lady doesn't know what she's talking about. And this is a sitting representative who's also supposed to be a lawyer, who is supposed to know the law.
imagine if Jack Smith ignored Eileen Cannon and with the help of an activist judge decided that he was going to prosecute the sitting president anyway. The problem that we have right now is that if we continue down this road, then we will not have a rule of law, because we have people that are currently serving and they're saying things like, ignore the judge's order. What it means to have law and order in this country is that you follow the order and you go through the appeals process, even if you dislike what the judge did. Thank you, and I yield.
And I'll yield back to Mr. Issa. Mr. Issa, you had a question for me, which I'll yield to you now. If you want.
Now that there's no time left. Thanks, Eric.
Entertainment.
You're good. You're good at that, but I'll take my own time. I'll recognize myself. And I'm going to note that when Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC as we know her, filed articles of impeachment on Justice Thomas and Alito, Ms. Crockett was one of the co-sponsors along with Mr. Cohen, both members of this committee. It does seem interesting that when the shoe is on the other foot, everyone is self-righteous. And I think this is a good example. For the last 3 hours, I have had to listen to one side talking.
Hey, I love, hey, shut your butt up. Shut up. You said enough. Shut up. You said enough. I love how he shushed her behind. Because you're talking out the side of your neck. You don't know what you're talking about, lady.
And I think this is a good example. For the last 3 hours, I have had to listen to one side talking about impeachment as though it was the nature of this hearing. It is not. I keep looking at my friend, the late Henry Hyde, and remember that although he led the impeachment when it was necessary, he did so only during that time and then never mentioned it again in hearings. In fact, he was religiously able to focus on the hearing of the day. The hearing of today is really about the question of the future of the court's ability to do its job as intended. And I'm
That lady is so disgusting, man. She really is. And the thing is that she plays on the ignorance of people in this country. She plays on the ignorance of people in this country, man. There's a lot to unpack here, man. A lot. A lot to unpack here. You guys caught that, right? Jasmine Crockett saying it's not everyday people who have the final say. Really? Because the last time I checked, this is supposed to be our government. The government of the people. The people are supposed to have the power, not unelected judges and partisan politicians. It's the government of the people. And let's talk about the blatant hypocrisy here. Crockett condemned impeachment efforts, but conveniently forgot she co-sponsored articles of impeachment herself just last year alongside AOC, targeting a conservative Supreme Court justice. They did this. I mean, the double standards are off the charts with these people. It couldn't be more obvious. It couldn't be more obvious. This is what we see all the time in politics. When their side does it, it's justified. When the other side does it, it's dangerous and it's anti-democratic. It's constitutional crisis, whatever the case may be. And the representative, man, he called it out perfectly. He called it out perfectly. This isn't just about principle, it's about power. And when they start gaslighting the public, backing activist judges and rewriting the rules to hold on to control, it's not about protecting democracy, it's about protecting their own interests, plain and simple. So good on Issa for coming up, or Issa for coming with the receipts. Crockett had no problem swinging impeachment when it was her team doing the damage. But now it's a threat to democracy. I mean, cut it out, man. Let's not pretend that we don't see the pattern. The American people deserve better than this political theater that we're getting. We deserve better, man. It's time to stop making excuses, honestly, for both sides and start holding these people accountable. Now, speaking of selective memory, let's rewind to AOC's speech introducing the very efforts to impeach Justice Thomas and Alito. These people are ridiculous. They really are, man. They're a disgrace. And the fact that AOC basically got elected with a landslide is just outrageous.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to introduce articles of impeachment against Associate Justices of the Supreme Court Clarence Thomas and Samuel Anthony Alito, Jr. Against Justice Thomas, the resolution includes 3 total articles: 1 count of failure to disclose financial income, gifts, reimbursements, property interest liabilities, and transactions, among other information, and 2 counts of refusal to recuse from matters concerning his spouse's legal and financial interests before the court. The second resolution includes the following impeachment articles against Justice Alito: 1 count of refusal to recuse from cases in which he had a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party before the court, and 1 count of failure to disclose financial incomes, gifts, reimbursements, property interests, among other information.
Yeah. So here's the double standard for all to see. This is the double standard right here. More authoritarian behavior from people claiming the other side is authoritarian. That's what it is. I mean, it's a complete waste of tax dollars. She called it a constitutional imperative, accusing them of corruption and undermining public trust because they ruled in ways that she didn't like. That's all this is about, man. That was the entire case there. And Jasmine Crockett was right there backing it up, right there behind it. And now she's out here playing victim, acting like Republicans trying to restore balance to the courts is somehow setting some form of dangerous precedent. This is the same woman who applauded AOC. She said that the Biden administration should just ignore the court rulings altogether. That's what they were talking during the previous administration. AOC literally encouraged the president to defy the courts. Crockett went on MSDNC to back her up, complaining about conservative judges and calling for, major rule changes, including eliminating the filibuster, another tool Democrats love to hate until they need it. Think about this, man, this filibuster situation. The 2 longest filibusters in U.S. history, the records are both held by Democrats. Strom Thurmond, who we all know, just a wicked racist man, Democrat, and Cory freaking Booker. These people are ridiculous, man. In Texas, Crockett slammed a Trump-appointed judge who ruled on, a pregnancy termination drug case, suggesting the man wasn't even smart enough to be on the bench. No legal bias, no standing. She just claimed that the man wasn't intelligent. But again, the outrage only flows one way. Shout out to True Texan for the $2 super chat. He says, Biden did ignore the SCOTUS on student loan. Yeah, he did. He did. These people, man, these people suck, man. Just to give you just a plain term, these people suck. When Democrats lose in court, man, they want to impeach judges. When they lose in court, they want to impeach judges, ignore rulings, and rewire the entire daggone system. But when Republicans propose a modest limit on federal judges issuing sweeping orders, all of a sudden, that's just, authoritarian. It's a full-fledged attack, on the system. It's a full-fledged attack on the Constitution and democracy. I mean, the hypocrisy is on 1,000 with these people, man. Seriously. The hypocrisy is on 1,000 with these people. Crockett is now pretending to care about the integrity of the judiciary system, when just a year ago, she was actively trying to impeach justices for doing their daggone job. She cheered efforts to sidestep court rulings. And now she's crying about precedents. That just lets you know that this lady doesn't have an original thought in her mind. She does and says whatever her handlers tell her to do and say. Simple as that. Democrats constantly bash the filibuster as racist until they need it. And then suddenly it's a sacred tool of democracy. I mean, come on, man. Take a look at Senator Cory Booker. This dude broke the record for the longest Senate floor speech. And it wasn't even a filibuster because there was no bill or amendment up for a vote. He just talked for the sake of talking. I mean, it's terrible, man. Oh.
John?
Would the senator yield for a question?
Chuck Schumer, it's the only time in my life I can tell you no.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
What the heck is there to be proud of? Seriously. Can somebody in the daggone chat answer that question? What is there to be proud of? What is to be proud of? There wasn't a bill. There was no amendment. Dude talked for 24 hours and you're like, oh man, that was a great achievement. What? Was that solely to, get Strom Thurmond's name out those record books? Is that what that was about? Proud of what? Proud of what, man? Senator Cory Booker. Dude spoke for 24 hours, calling for good trouble to save democracy, whatever that means. Whatever that means at this point. He was quoting civil rights icons, while holding up an actual Senate business. He was quoting civil rights icons while holding up actual Senate business. It's a waste of daggone taxpayer dollars right there on full display. And these people stood up and clapped for it, but couldn't stand up for young DJ Daniels. No legislation at stake, no filibuster, just Booker talking into the void, while failing to address real issues like arson attacks on Tesla dealerships, threats against Elon Musk, or the soaring crime that's happening in this country. Shout out to Just a Reflection for the $5 super chat. Cory Booker embarrassed himself into the history books. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Dude talked for 24 hours about a whole lot of nothing. But that's the thing, man. If a Republican was to do something like this, you know, the media would be pointing this out. They would be calling him out. They would be saying that this was a complete waste of time. Why are they not getting down to business? But when a Democrat do it, you know, it's something to scream, holler, and yell about. Seriously. It's okay because, you know, it's in the name of saving democracy, whatever the heck that means at this point. Whatever that means at this point, saving democracy. It's the same with this whole, you know, entire, you know, activist judge saga. The same thing goes for the courts. If a court stops a Republican policy, it's justice. If it blocks a Democrat policy, it's corruption. Their only consistent ideology is opposing Trump. They've got no principles. They don't have any policies that's worth anything. It's just politics for them. It's just a show. It's always, you can't question the courts unless the ruling hurts the Democrats. Last time I checked, Ivan, the Supreme Court isn't standing in the way. The Supreme Court isn't standing in the way. Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. They got the say. You got these Democrats, they basically packed the courts. That's basically what they've done. They've packed the courts. And if they don't like the said judge's decision, Democrats are okay with impeaching a judge. But now when the Republicans consider saying, hey, let's throw a bill out there. Now you got Republicans that are willing to flex a little bit of their constitutional authority. All of a sudden, it's a crisis. You should go and read Article 3, bro. Go read it for yourself. Come back. For the life of me, I still don't understand why people are, you know, fighting for illegal immigrants in this country. For the life of me, I still don't understand it, but do you, bro? If people like AOC and Crockett had their way, you know, they'd be adding justices. They'd be adding justices if they had it their way. They wanted to fundamentally change the shape of the Supreme Court if they had it their way. And they'd be impeaching those who disagree with them. with an attempt to turn the judicial branch into a rubber stamp for the Democrat Party and their policies. But the moment anybody fights back, the moment the GOP fights back, they start crying foul. They start crying foul. We'll see where this legislation goes because it should pass in the House. It should pass in the House, but the battle, once it gets through the House, at this point, it's going to be a tough battle in the Senate. We'll see. But no matter what, it's exposing the blatant double standards of the left for everyone to see. It's on full display. It's on full display for everybody to see. I love it, man. I love it. But I appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. You know, as always, I definitely appreciate you guys pulling up today. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys supporting me, you know, as well. A little longer than I expected to go today. But, you know, folks got to understand, man, hey, it's a full-fledged fight happening on right now. Do not get complacent. Do not get complacent. You have people out there that are 100% okay with changing the full fabric of this nation from the inside out. And unfortunately, you got citizens out there that would like to see that change as well, unfortunately. But those of us that don't want to see it, that want to hold and stand true to the way the Constitution is currently written and has always been, we got to do what needs to be done, you know, to fight against these radical individuals that are out here. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys as always, man. Appreciate everybody that supported the channel. Hopefully on the way out, man, if you guys could, make sure you hit that like button for me. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the love. I'll catch up with you all. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. It is crazy out here in these streets, man. We'll catch up with you all tomorrow, Lord willing, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp,